on. Catalyst, our first map of our first qualifying match here today. It's 0-0, of course. Obviously, that's how first matches work. Shinrei coming in with a donation. $20 donation. Wow, dude, thank you so much for a very generous contribution to the stream. There's a love in the chat for Shinrei. He says, "Grats on 30k, slut." You know, I don't know if I identify as a slut, but I'll take the $20. I'll take the $20. Guys, action's kicking off. Thank you so much, Shinrei, for the 20 bucks. Action is kicking off here, though. As you can see from the top left in the Clash Showdown, our Red Zerg player is Lambo, 13-12 in. This is getting serious very, very quickly. Bottom right, the Blue Zerg, his teammate, his opponent, Elazer, is opening with the hatchery. Oh, dear. Let's see what Lambo can do with this. Can the 13-12 bring him to a victory? Let's see what sort of 13-12 he wants to go for as well, of course. There's a few different options. You can go with a 100 gas, ling speed, pull out of gas. You can go for the Baneling Nest, of course, continuing to mine gas. 6 lings starting up. Looks as though gas will continue to mine, so it's going to be straight to the Baneling Nest as well. Everything's on the way. Ling speed is starting up from Lambo then. Getting that set and ready to go. Hatchery on the natural starting up too. 6 Zerglings coming down the left-hand side. This Overlord of Lambo. Moving on along here, we do see this Overlord as well. Down towards the bottom right. I mean, the thing is, Elazer just doesn't know anything about this just yet, right? He's moving his Overlords into position. Overlords take a little while to get there, so he's not going to know about it just yet. 6 Zerglings about to arrive into the natural expansion. And Elazer, he's making drones. He hasn't made any lings, even though he started his queens. It's greedy, and he's going to pay for it, I think. Here we go, the 6 lings approach, and now Elazer realizes for the very first time what's going on. Oh man, this is painful. It is not fast enough to be a 12 pool, though, and Elazer should be able to know that. And that's why he's probably going to start Spine Crawler here compared to against a 12 pool. You wouldn't usually go for the Spine Crawler. So a little bit of a difference already, but there's the Banelings. I mean, again, Lambo's not afraid to show them. He knows Elazer knows. Like, there's just no way Elazer is in this position right now. He's like, okay, I don't know that this is some sort of 13-12 play. Queen surrounded instantly. And that is really bad news for Elazer here already as these drones continue to drop. This is disastrous. Another Baneling will be used. Another Queen high ground. Okay, Bane will just go off on a few more Zerglings. The Spine Crawler will finish, but the Queen's going to go down before then. I guess then you back away from the Spine Crawler and you just fight the low ground still. Elazer is only just now getting to even workers though, so it's still not the end of the world for him. Obviously missing the Queen slows down production, but he still has double hatchery, so 2 lava popping out at a time rather than just a single one. G-Bane's about to finish up, coming forward first. Connection is good. Now you're probably going to want to get those Banes to explode near the Spine Crawler if possible, especially as it burrows. That helps. Hits the couple of lings that were nearby as well, and that's exactly what you need in these sort of scenarios. Does not want to let that Baneling go down without it getting to the Spine Crawler at the very least, though, and he will come in to clean the Spine Crawler up. Queen on the way out now there again as well. It's still close as the next wave of lings show up from Lambo. You can morph in 2 more Banelings, morphs them in with the low health Zerglings, so they will get a bit of a heal here. No rush to come into the natural, no new Spine Crawler. Just take your time, get the Banes up, and look for those Baneling connections. That's his big advantage at the moment. That's his big advantage currently. Banelings coming forward, getting a bit of a surround. Here we go, the Banelings looking to try and see what they can hunt down. Queen is actually going to get rid of one of them. First Baneling doesn't do a lot, and the second Baneling goes off on just 1 ling. It separates the units for a little while. I'm not sure if it really does enough, and with a 2 drone lead, Elazer holds on. Hatchery's still alive, and in the end, this wasn't enough. We are going to be seeing those lings coming back in towards the top. A few more lings setting up as well. Okay, well, hatchery is just about halfway done for the moment. Again, a few moments while we really wait to see what the next stage of this is. It's a weird position, right? Because Elazer is not really in any trouble at all, I think, because now he did drone up a little bit, but he's got the units. He still doesn't have Banes, and I think that's the one issue you could run into. But even Lambo only has 2 Banelings on the way up. He's actually pulling home to try and defend with reinforcements at the moment. Elazer adds in another couple of drones as he gets some more lings on the way. He's going to hunt down an Overlord. That's actually a big supply block for Elazer. 36 over 28, only one Overlord building. Elazer can't build anything for a little while here. So that does hurt. A few lings pulling back off to the side. It's just crazy how much a 13-12 has to do to put you into an advantage, because it really feels like Lambo did so much with this. You know, Queens got killed, the Spine didn't really add too much. You know, he got pretty good connections with the Banes, not amazing, but like it's not like, even when they only went off on one Zergling, he still used it for a long time to zone Zerglings away from dealing damage elsewhere. And that's an important part of that usually. Well, here we go, let's see if Lambo has enough right now as he comes on in, surrounds on the Queens. One transfuse available, Banes are still alive here, and all of a sudden Lambo is breaking on through. Suddenly, Elazer is in some trouble. His lings are on the way out, but they're on the way out and kind of going to be coming out segregated. And these Banes can make it to the mineral line already. Going to help out a lot. He's got the Banes waiting for the drones to transfer through the Queen as well. A great prediction of what was going to happen there. Lambo has shown some great game sense of how Elazer was about to try and defend this. Very nicely done. And now Lambo takes a 5-worker lead, but trails in army supply. And this game just got interesting. Lambo finally finds the damage that he was looking for here. He finally finds this damage. God, it took him a little while to get there, didn't it? Another drone taking some hits. Queens and lings to the top side. Pushing away, coming back up towards the top of the map. A few Banes are about to finish up, and they will go for a connection. Doesn't quite find it yet, though. Another Baneling thinks about leading the charge. Elazer still wants to run in at the front, it seems. More Zerglings taking some hits right here. Elazer pulls off to the side. Two more Banelings start to morph in. A Queen on the way out. In the natural expansion. Zerglings still coming down towards the bottom left, and we are seeing 14 drones apiece in this game. Very much so getting into the next stage of it. More lings run by the Queens at the front. They're going to go after a drone. They get one drone. They're going to get two. Every drone counts for so much at this stage of the game. He gets out with the Zerglings alive. That's crazy. Again, looking to see what he can do, and he gets another little bit of a surround here. Lambo shutting it down. Not allowing Elazer the opportunity to really get himself set up here. 8 minutes in, this has been quite literally the definition of a knife fight in the ZvZ. They've been stabbing each other, poking holes in the defenses. Lambo's been up, Elazer's been down, it's been the other way around. And well, now again it's getting to that stage where maybe we start transitioning through to the next part, which is maybe thinking about third hatchery. From a third hatchery, maybe you start thinking about the Rotron. This is where the possibilities start to really stack up, and we start to really look at this and think about, well, what is next? You know, what comes in now? Queens will get rid of another Zergling there. Two more lings in the upper right-hand side. Running along too. Hitting the upper right-hand corner. And just looking to maybe morph in Banes over here, coming for a bit of a funky flank. Maybe just scout into the main base. You know, even just a scout into the main for Lambo at this stage of the game could be pretty influential. Because knowing what's coming, knowing if there's a switch to roaches already, if your opponent's playing greedy, going to a lair right away, that information can be game-changing. So that could be something for Lambo to pick up on, and he does indeed just use these Zerglings to sneak in, scout. Pretty sure he won't get away with trying to morph Banes in the corner. He might try. I think Lambo might just have a bit too much respect for Elazer to try and pull that one off. That would have been a fast one to pull, though. Third hatchery dropping down here from Lambo. Elazer has the money for it. Looks as though he's just slowed down by his Zergling on the third hatch, or on the third location. Elazer starts a Rotron. And maybe that's where his gas is being saved for. Nope, looks as though he's going to drop the Evo too. For a moment I thought maybe he just goes for the big Roach attack, but nope, it's an Evo as well. He's just going to be playing on a little bit of a later Roach +1. Interesting. Well, you see the Lair on the way too, of course. I still feel Lambo's got everything in his favor right now. Lair coming up, he's going to have the +1 missiles much faster. He'll have the Roach speed because of that Lair. And he's still on 44 drones to 43. The army supply difference right now is pretty minimal. And it should take favor to Lambo because he has more gas in the bank now that both players have started up the same set of structures. Lambo can straight up just make more Roaches to start things off. Lings and Banes on the natural here. You see fireworks going off on the third base. And you have got one Baneling Oh, it's not quite going down yet. A few drones pulling to the side and wanting to try and get back onto this hatchery. Another couple of Zerglings being picked away at. Well, this is actually something that's finally going Elazer's way. Lambo has forgot to put 4 drones back on a mineral line. It's the first thing that I really think has been going well for Elazer in the last few minutes. Drones are going to pull to try and protect the Queen. It will not be enough though, so Queen drops, finding Elazer, finding some openings, and finding the opportunity to just do a little bit of damage here and there right now. And these two players from Clash fighting for just one slot in WCS Challenger. The other will drop down to the lower bracket to have to continue slogging along for the next few hours here to wrap up that section of the bracket, which does just take quite a long time, honestly. It does take quite a long time. 5 more roaches popping out, 6 roaches actually. Evolution Chamber to the top side in this natural expansion as well. Queen gets another Zergling or so. Spire is starting up as well, about halfway done at the moment. Cluster missile attack from Lambo starting up on the Evolution Chamber. That roach speed we've been talking about so much is about to complete also. And that does give Lambo the aggressive opportunity if he wants to use it. I don't think he will though. I don't think he really sees a reason to use it. No, Elazer. You'll realize he's got a lot of gas in the bank, and that's because the Spire is going to come into play here very shortly. Spire finishing soon. And Spire is a huge, huge part of this. Huge part of this. Meter switch, obviously something that Lambo not immediately ready for, but he is attacking one hell of a time to take advantage of a meter switch. Meters are going to have to start dealing with these roaches when they're already across the map. Because he built meters, he doesn't have the roach count either. And oh my god, Elazer, he loses that first Queen before he can even start to think about transfusing it. One shot and it falls. Okay, well, he's buying a bit of time. Lambo backed off. Now Lambo gets into a bit of an awkward spot where he's going to have to commit with these roaches if he likes it or not, unless he starts to back away. 12 meters coming through. Morphs and Ravagers, that's even easier targets for these meters. They're going to reveal themselves for the first time right now. Lambo still lets those Ravagers finish. He will just commit in to try and trade as best he can here on the ground. Couple throws of bars, forcing roaches back. He has such an overwhelming number of roaches, and this is where he should probably split a few away into each mineral line to try and maximize damage. And that's kind of what he starts to do. These drones pull away. There we go. Some roaches to the left, the rest of them moving to the right-hand side, and will continue to chase down roaches of Elazer, whose supply is dropping after a very long time in this game. It took Lambo multiple attempts of the 13-12 to finally break through and to at least even things out. In the end, it looks as though he's not going to win this game with this attack, but he's put himself in a prime position to. You know, this attack buys him time to set up in towards anti-mutilus play, spore crawlers, etc. He still has the roaches killing drones, so this isn't over yet on this side either, and he is going to be able to at least put the worker count at about double in favor of himself. So a few roaches streaming in as well, and they're going to go back towards this base, which just now started to remine from Elazer. Meters aren't over here yet, so he'll be taking down this Queen, another roach. I mean, all of this is just pickups, which are obviously going great. Banes will be targeted down to minimize the splash damage effect onto those Banelings, which is great. You don't really want the Banelings to be splashing down the drones too quickly. And again, Lambo, he didn't even start spore crawlers yet, but he has been building extra Queens, which should be enough to push these meters back, as Elazer is just desperately trying to drone. Which is just going to burrow now, and as the tunneling clause, the burrow kicks in. He doesn't even have tunneling clause, he just has burrow. But as burrow kicks in, it's enough for him to just sit here, and Overseer obviously wasn't ready, so it buys him even more time, and Elazer knows it's way too much time that's being bought. Lambo takes game number 1. It's the Clash boys, and currently the more successful Clash is to the bottom right. Red Zerg Lambo up by 1 in the series, but boy was it a close one, and he really had to work for it. Top left, the blue Zerg player here. Let's see if he can make a series out of this team kill in the qualifying round of the winners bracket. Blue Zerg Elazer. Again, these guys looking to join 12 players already in WCS Challenger Season 3. Clem, Denver, Harsum, and Seoul from yesterday's qualifier. Mana, Snoot, Serral, and Namshar from Season 2 Challenger. And from the ladder qualifier, Nurture, Euthermal, Raynor, and Hiramari made it in from the ladder qualifier. 12 players in Challenger, our 13th player about to be decided in this series. Of course, Challenger starts off August 11th and 12th, I want to say. the weekend of August 11th-ish is when Challenger starts off. It's on 2 weekends back-to-back, 3 weekends back-to-back actually. 2 groups each week, followed by 1 day of playoffs on the final weekend. So August weekend is going to be all about WCS Challenger Season 3, of course. As we get this going. Early game ZvZ this time is not much to talk about because of the lack of any sort of early pool. Now's Plant is a fairly regular map for the ZvZ as well. The 4 base comes very easily. The lurkers are great at defending here. It's definitely a map that can go into the later stages because it is a good map to hold the 4 bases on. So that's a big possibility. Something we could see. We'll see if meters become a thing on here this map as well. Obviously last map was it's a bit of a smaller map, so it was definitely one that was easy to reinforce on. It was an easy one to just bring more and more units across. Obviously that's pretty influential. Be able to reinforce quickly if those roaches, the mutas come out, is not ideal. This map just takes a little bit longer natural to natural, so it could help Elazer if he actually wants to go into mutas once again, or attempt to. Obviously I still feel like at the end of the day he was going into those mutas off a little bit of a disadvantage. But it really was still just the perfect time for Lambo to hit. He hit just as the mutas started to build, which means that Elazer couldn't be like, oh crap, I need to make more roaches. His money was spent, the mutas weren't out initially, and you know, the big thing with mutas is that generally you want to be able to use the mutas as the roaches move across the map. And when you can't use the mutas with the roaches moving across the map, you're already missing out on the 5 to 10 roaches you would pick off at that stage, and that already means you've just got work to catch up on, and in this case, Elazer wasn't able to hold. The third hat-trick from both players taken in the same position, taking, you know, same little bit of aggression coming in from both players as they try and fight this here. A little bit of ling-on-ling action, 2 lings for 1, I think, so far in favor of Elazer. And he will now start backing away. Ling speed will kick in just a second earlier, though, for Lambo. Does that equal a ling kill? It should get him 1 of these. Shouldn't get the second, though. Bayonet's starting up as well on both sides, so... Again, the idea between the two of them just to go in towards a more macro-focused game. Yes, you're going to play cat and mouse with the Ling Bane, but in general, it doesn't look like anything too crazy. With the third hat-trick coming down, this is now just going to be a game of adding a drone or 2, making the Ling Bane to survive, another couple drones, the Ling Bane to survive, and on, and on, and on. These 2 queens are going to be able to push those lings away to the right side here. Elazer having to pull back at the moment. Not really able to push on in with queens and lings in the defense. Oh, ling over here, I think... did he grab a drone? He did. He got a drone. That's not bad. Obviously costs him a ling or 2, but he also gets information in the main, gets a bit of a scout off. 2 Banes coming in from Lambo defensively to help hold the third hatchery, as it is a Elazer to be right on top of this at the moment. Coming on in, and he is actually going to get a queen kill. So already a queen dropping. And there's those couple of Banes finishing so they can get underway. Sorry, give me a moment to just ask for the invite into Garrett DNS, the other qualifying match that's about to get started. Alright, well, Lings come in once again. The Queen under a little bit of fire already. Ling is just about going to pull away here. Turns around, fights. Oh, Bane connection's good. And we're not going to be seeing the defense again from Elazer. Just as good as Lambo's. Oh my god, it's so crazy when those Banes on move commands sometimes. They could get big connections, they just don't. I mean, Ling Bane is just, you know, that hectic. It's very difficult to be everywhere. In the end, just gets a couple drones. Wasn't even that good a connection. Going off to the side of the mineral line rather than in the middle. A little bit of a shame. Lambo's up 6 workers, though. So at the end of the day, whatever he's done has worked. Jumps into the main base with a few lings too. Again, doesn't really feel as though he can split a couple lings off to try and make a baneling or anything, which is a very common way to play it out. This is cute by Elazer. Look at this micro. He pulls his lings away until the lings focus on the queen, then he comes back in with the lings, knowing that he will very quickly take the advantage if his opponent's lings aren't fighting his lings. So really cool bit of back and forth micro there from Elazer. Something that seems so minimal, but it's so important in being able to clean this up efficiently and to get into that next stage as, you know, in as strong a position as possible. A lot more Banes from Lambo, by the way. Going into a Rotron behind it this time. There's no Lair coming in, or no Evo Chamber either from Lambo. There is one for Elazer, but it looks in general just like a more aggressive game. Lambo has 700 minerals in the bank. What does he plan to do with these? These Banes are going to do absolutely nothing here. 4 queens pulled to the front, and that means there's no way they get towards the mineral line without just being straight up sniped on down. And obviously, losing Banelings to queens is not a worthwhile trade for the Baneling player. It's not what you're looking for. And he's coming around the left. The Bane goes off. Not too much done just yet. 14 more Zerglings on the way. 7 Roaches starting up 2. 2 Lings down here from the Elazer, just going to be sitting around, gathering together, waiting to maybe actually. I mean, Lambo sees this, right? So you shouldn't really be caught off guard. But sometimes it's so easy to let that kind of just slip out of your mind to not quite notice it. I wonder if Lambo. Oh, if Elazer remembers them now, he does. So maybe Lambo going to lose some workers to those Banes in the end. Talking so much about how Lambo's kind of looked for that opportunity but never really found it. And yet Elazer maybe gets the most obvious opportunity of the day. And let's see if it actually works out. It will, right into the center. That's 5 or 6 workers that have just disappeared there. So a good few workers going down once more. Ling's trying to dive in towards the natural. Unsuccessful at the moment. The Ling's going to go back over to the right-hand side where they're trying to pick up a couple drones again. Lambo is still up on workers by about 8 or so. A little bit of damage done here or there on the other side. 8 Roaches in production here from Elazer. He's 5 drones down. His lair coming through now. Again, is there a lair? There is a lair. Okay, so Lambo did get a lair eventually. He's already coming across the map with Roaches. I don't think he can do much here. Roaches on the way out from Elazer. It looks like they're going to come out just about in time to make this work out. I think this is going to stay. I think this is going to be okay. Roaches and Queens pushing through the left. Banes to the right. They hit this mineral line. If Lambo's not paying attention, I think as though maybe a couple of drones go down. 4 there actually. And we'll get one final one as well. Okay, he gets one final one. Another drone low. Again, Lambo had to pull back with the Roaches. Nothing that's going to be successful moving across the map in that scenario. But again, he sits 10, 11 workers up here at all points. +1's a bit behind, but not by much. It's difficult for Elazer to take advantage of the +1 timing because he has Roach speed so much later. It's so risky to move onto the map without Roach speed. I mean, what are you going to do if you move onto the map without Roach speed, right? You know, you like, wonder, hi guys, I don't have speed. Oh, you have too many Roaches? I guess I die. You know, there's nothing you can actually do because you just can't escape in a fight that is unfavorable for you, and that's the issue. It's just so risky. Yeah, okay, you got more Roaches, maybe you can make it happen, but again, also without speed, it's difficult to reinforce, it's difficult to set up a good concave. It's so easy for the Roach speed player to just manipulate you, so the slightly faster +1 here from Elazer won't come into play yet. Maybe it'll allow him to go into the faster +2. Look at that from Lambo, tunneling claws. He's already got the idea of Roaches burrowing around the map on his mind, looking for some harassment-focused play. Now look at the advantages still though. 8 workers in the lead. It's already established him at an extra base. Yes, army supplies are even, but he's also already started +1 characters. Tunneling claws, burrow, all of these upgrades which Elazer doesn't have. Lambo just really manipulating the mid-game into his favor here so far. Alright, sorry, just checking what's going on in DNS versus Geralt. Not a lot, 2 minutes in, I was just making sure we had a good observer to follow so we can keep a track of that game. Do you see these overlords heading down at the south side here? Stray Zergling runs towards the upper right as well, and we are going to be seeing a good amount of Roach Ravager from Lambo pushing forwards at the moment. It's Overlord of Elazer patrolling back and forth. Zergling nibbling away on this hatchery to the right side again. That 4th is just so slow from Elazer as Lambo maxes out. He is behind on the +2. They invest, I mean, only by 15 seconds though, so again, it's not really a massive deal. Lambo collects himself in the center. He does have that tunneling clause now in play, and so he can now start to look to use this. And if he can pull enough Roaches out of position with attacks into the main base and so on, there's so much possibility of him being able to do damage by pushing in towards the 3rd, the 4th base. I wouldn't mind to see Overseer here going to find one burrowed Roach. Now Elazer is going to be privy to this information, and knowing about this, he shouldn't really be caught off guard by it. Although I still feel Lambo can just come over here and work his way through this hatchery. Wouldn't be a bad idea, I don't think. He's just going to work his way through this here, just getting a little bit of damage done. We do see Roaches very quickly though from the Elazer going to be on top of it. So again, I mean, hatchery already half health though, and it is going to be a big pull of units away from his 3rd base, which means that Lambo is already jumping on this with a run by. He's going to try and get a Ravager here. It is going to be blocked in, so he can't run away with Roaches. He'll actually burrow to keep this alive. Now he gets Roach Ravager in position over here. This is a good position already from Lambo. +2 about to kick in from Elazer though, which could turn this fight just a little bit in his favor. It is now in play, so +2 against just +1. Carapace though for Lambo, which will help, but not as much as an extra missile upgrade does. Couple cross of bars actually landing on either side. Elazer has his own counter-attack going on. We'll look at that in a moment, as Lambo seems to be making good progress here. But remember, Elazer will have reinforcements very soon. As he backs away, that's one of the big things he's going to be looking for. And there we go, Lambo. He's already going to lose this base, so that's going down. Lambo has reinforcements on his way out as well. As he comes back along, he'll get a couple of queens as he runs. Instant kills on these queens as he targets them. But look at this. So many of his units going down here. Somehow this base, I really don't understand how or why it isn't. I mean, Elazer should get this on his way out. He will turn all the transfusions so nearly, keeping this alive, but not working out in the end. Well, Lambo still has money in the bank to spend. Does he miss the lava? He does, so he doesn't have the injects in play to actually spend all the money which he has, which would put him back into an army supply lead. Will need to rebuild this hatchery. He wants to be on 4 bases still, of course. A hectic few moments suddenly in the ZvZ as attacks breaking out on both sides of the map. My counter from Elazer getting so much done, bringing Lambo all the way down to 45 workers against the 60. Well, there's Lambo spending a lot of his money. Now he's got a lot of minerals left in the bank. Army supplies even, but again, Lambo should maybe spend some of those minerals on drones, but he's still just missing the lava. And that's the big issue. He needs a couple injects going down. Losing a hatchery obviously doesn't help. He lost some queens. So has a queen on each base now, so he needs to keep hitting those injects. And again, another 15 drones wouldn't hurt him at all here. Actually, a good amount of roaches to the right side as Lambo splits his army. Already getting a few kills off Elazer. If he can get this base on the counter, well, that would be fantastic. And starts to go for it. Now we'll fight the roaches. Elazer sends some reinforcing roaches over. This fight starts to break out as well. Lambo realizes that this is maybe one to just back away from. Corrosive bars all over the Ravagers. They don't get kills, but they do some good damage. Lambo will put another couple of bars down. Does Elazer get greedy? He doesn't. He backs away. Lambo has to back away on the top side as well. Well, Lambo doesn't seem to have control of this game any longer. Elazer seems to have this one really starting to kind of just churn out in his favor. Elazer rebuilds some drones, something Lambo still is going for, and Lambo down by 10 workers is limited in what he can do currently. He's going to try and maybe, I mean, where do you even fight? He's actually about to be surrounded here, so Lambo's going to make a dive towards Elazer's base. I mean, corrosive bars are trying to slow it down. He gets a couple good connections so far. Elazer trying to dodge as those bars come down. A couple bars actually connecting. Again, the Ravagers taking some real hits from this. Elazer trying to dodge as Lambo is just going to go all the way into the main. He's so committed with this now. He has to find some crazy damage. He doesn't find the Roach Roaring on his journey. He's in the back of the natural. But he can set up this ramp. And does Elazer really want to try and fight up here? No, he does not. He's also counterattacking Elazer though, which means he will have something going for himself over on this side of the map. More roaches coming over though. Elazer realizes it's not worth trying to push up this ramp, as he just leaves Lambo to attack in the main base. Lambo pulls away to the side. 9 more roaches in production. He's just down so heavily in army supply, and you can kind of see where that differential is coming from. There's just so many units over here, and Lambo's reinforcements are not going to come out in time. Well, crazy game 2 of the ZvZ so far. Mayhem, I would say. As we do have these roaches going to burrow to come down to the low ground. There's overseers. It's a risky maneuver. I mean, now Elazer sees it. Corrosive bars drop. Lambo's on the low ground, but he's still backed into a corner. Unable to really do much here other than try and force the fight. He's going to get on top of these Ravagers. It's nice because obviously roaches and Ravagers do a lot of damage. Ravagers miss the armored tag to help protect them, but it's still not enough. And Elazer will eventually win out. One hell of a macro ZvZ, as these guys are still going head-to-head on this side of the map as well. Elazer's trying to pick up a bit more damage. He'll get the hatchery though, and that is GG in the end. Elazer spot. Elazer and Lambo head-to-head right here, 1-to-1. Top right-hand side is Lambo, the red Zerg. Bottom left-hand side is Elazer, the blue Zerg, in this clash-on-clash team kill in the qualifying round. One player goes to Challenger in this game, unless it's a draw, in which case one player will not go to Challenger. We'll have another game, but, well, do we always have, do you know, how often is there a draw in ZvZ? Never. I can't think of the last time there was a draw in ZvZ, honestly. I'm trying to think, when do you guys ever remember seeing a draw in ZvZ? Maybe in like the 13-12 days at the start of Legacy of the Void, where everyone 13-12'd. I think there was a draw at Home Story Cup between Hyun and somebody, Hyun and Firekick maybe, and they played 6 best of 3. They played in a What was that home story game? I'm going to find it. They played something, it was something crazy because, like, in a best of 3, where there's 6 possible build orders, usually, there was something stupid like a, 9 13-12s were played. It was really silly. It was definitely the one with Hyun. Oh yeah, it was Hyun Mini Razor. Hyun Mini Razor, they tied on Central Protocol in game number 1. Yeah, that was so funny. That was like a 13-12 fest. Yeah, they tied on Central Protocol and then it still went to 3 games. That was so crazy. I can't believe I remember that. I just remember at the time thinking how ridiculous it was. I think I might have casted that actually with like Penguin or somebody on the B stream. That's crazy. It is crazy. Alright guys, it is early game. ZvZ and between Lambo and Elazer. I don't think we're going to see a ZvZ draw here, so I do think one of these players will go through to Challenger. The question is which. If you're supporting one over the other, I'd love to hear in the chat. Let me know who you're cheering on. Let me know who you want to see advancing. Don't forget that after this, the action is not done. We have a whole lower bracket to go through. We have got a ton more StarCraft 2 still coming your way today, so don't go anywhere. So much action coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. A couple of Lings moving off over to the right-hand side. Spire on the way down behind the mineral line in the main base. Extractor 2 on the way up as well. Bane and Nescop dropping down also in the back of the natural. Two very different ways of playing as Lambo is. It's been a complex opening actually. You know, Elazer goes into the very typical kind of Ling Bane. Lambo goes like Roaches with a fast lair, but actually then throws down a Spire. So it's kind of a little bit crazy so far actually. It's a little bit crazy so far I think, because we do see 16 Zerglings currently on the way up. We do have this Overlord taking a little bit of damage here as a couple of Queens start to push it away just off to the side. 3 Roaches currently building in the main base. So 3 Roaches on the way up right now. We do see the +1 missiles about halfway done. The melee upgrade is just getting going too. As Elazer shows us a very different way of playing so far. Very interesting. Melee upgrade. He's going to go in towards a Spire of his own, but boy, does he know how far behind he is the Spire of his opponent? Maybe he doesn't. However, he does have a third base, and with a third base, he will have extra gases to overtake the Mutalisk perhaps. As right now, Lambo will not protect his third hatch. It's a cancel, it's a rebuild. Now finally 5 meters are on the way. This game in general, the ZvZ, has been a bit weird. It's not quite been the usual way of getting in towards a ZvZ situation. It is definitely a little bit different to usual. Well, just going to be seeing those Lings back in towards the natural. A Queen and a couple of Mutalisks able to come out here and chase those Zerglings away. So, going to start working the way through the Overlord. Now Elazer knows what's up. And Elazer, knowing this already, may have a bit of an advantage here because he is going to be able to make more meters, perhaps, and then he's also going to be able to go into Flyer Carapace, which is better for meter versus meter rather than no upgrade at all, obviously. Or even a Flyer attack upgrade. Carapace is better because of the way that the glaive bounces work on Mutalisks. It's interesting in general, actually. How many meters do we have then? 7, 8, 9. So Elazer can make about 10. It is pretty even, but the thing is, I mean, +2 missiles on the way. Lambo's thinking about transitioning out of this. And with +1 melee currently on these Lings, they're actually pretty deadly. So they're cleaning up these Roaches pretty quick. They will get pushed away. Now meters start to come on through. Lambo hasn't done a lot with his meters yet as he switches back to Roaches. The issue is if he switches to Roaches too heavily, then loses the meter fight because he has less meters, then he's going to lose the Roaches because the meters are going to kill the Roaches. I think Lambo might need a Hydralisk Den a lot faster than he's realizing. Maybe if he realized this was +1 Lings, he could get a rough idea of what Elazer was going for, because +1 melee is 80% of the time accompanied by a Spire. Because it's meant to, it's designed to be, to allow for Ling Bane Hydra, or to, sorry, not Ling Bane Hydra, but for Ling Bane to be used alongside the meters. Mostly the Lings, so you play Mutaling, and it becomes very powerful. Go Lambo, says Moxie. Elazer, says Nueve Hot Doggo. Murky Wonders looking for Lambo to win this one as well. Good to hear, guys. Love to hear you guys are cheering on. He's coming in, going for a couple of drones already. Going to get this Overlord as well. Queen has Transfuse Energy, doesn't use it on anything because Lambo, I think, is just not ready for suddenly Mutas to show up. He goes into the main base and he might just be looking to trade his Mutas out, even just against Queens, because honestly, at this stage of the game, just kind of keeping his Mutas against the Mutas of his opponent is probably not going to do a lot. Comes up to the top side. I mean, I guess he'd like to keep them alive, but there's no way he's going to go back into Mutalist production just now, right? He's building Hydralisk, but the issue is, I guess, from Elazer's point of view, he already has +2 melee. I guess an issue for Lambo is that Elazer's going to have +2 melee and Banelings. Hydras aren't going to stand much of a chance here. The Mutalisks go down, and Lambo, is he once again going to fall after being so close? He really might. By the way, just very quickly here, going to put in the picture-in-picture, but DNS is destroying Geralt in Game 2. It looks like that qualifier match is also going to a third game. DNS is up 13 workers with a Stalker Oracle attack. He's up heavily in army supply. He's a base, equal in bases. DNS looking good right now in that picture-in-picture. Meters are going to come up to the top, going in towards the main once again. Looking to try and do a bit more damage. As you see, these Hydras are trying to fight against this. This is the moment for Lambo where he can really come back in the game if he has a way to fight. And I kind of feel like, yeah, the Hydras are great against the Mutas, but obviously eventually the Banelin should come out here from Elazer. Well, actually, he just lost all his Hydras because they all split up, and that's just going to be it. Didn't even need the Banelings. For a moment at the start of this fight, Lambo was looking okay, but at the end, he really wasn't looking okay at all.